Here's Ron Williams.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Talk. It is Wednesday afternoon. We'll be here until 5 o'clock, as we are each weekday here on Lima's News Talk, 940 WCIT. Okay, we want to bring in a guest today. He is running as a Libertarian candidate for President of the United States this year, and we are talking about former Governor of New Mexico, Gary Johnson. Gary, welcome to the show.
Ron, great to be on with you here today.
Well, we appreciate you coming back on. We had you on a few months ago, and I guess just wanted to find out how you feel things are going in your campaign.
Well, the real pie in the sky here is to be able to continue liberty and freedom message agenda that's really the same as Ron Paul. I don't think Ron Paul is going to be successful in getting the Republican nomination, and so this is a way to keep that agenda, to keep that dialogue alive on real change for America. So pie in the sky for me is potentially polling at 15, getting the nomination, pie in the sky.
Sure. Getting
the nomination and then polling at 15% against Obama, and I'm going to believe that the nominee is going to be Romney, and being on the national debate stage in the general elections. And the Libertarian nominee will be on the ballot in all 50 states, which really makes the Libertarian Party the bona fide third party.
Well, it's funny. I went onto your site here, and just this whole this whole question that we have is, it says everybody says they want a viable alternative to America's two-party chokehold. Everybody meet Gary Johnson. Well, I'm one of those who wants a viable alternative to this two-party chokehold. How can you make inroads into this thing and actually make a viable alternative of the Libertarian Party and get it to where it really does become a third party?
Well, let's just start out with, and I'm going to speak here with a broad brush, let's just speak about general philosophy. I think the majority of Americans are fiscally conservative and socially liberal. And that is, let's balance the federal budget, and that is, hey, let's keep government out of the bedroom. Let's not let government make decisions that only you and I should be making. So it's civil liberties on one hand, and then it's a balanced checkbook on the other hand, something that both seems to elude both parties.
There's no question about that. We fight about Republicans and Democrats all the time, but I've tried to turn that into a fight of liberals, conservatives, because I just don't see much difference between what the Republicans are doing compared to the Democrats.
Well, and then when we're growing up, at least I heard many times that if when you were in college if you weren't a Democrat, you didn't have a heart. And that after you graduated from college, if you didn't become a Republican, you didn't have a brain. Well, Ron, I think we've all got hearts and brains. We really care about those in need, and yet we want to balance the federal budget. And I think for the most part, when you look at Obama and what he's done when it comes to marriage equality, really, he hasn't lived up to the promises. He hasn't lived up to promises when it comes to drug reform. And we still seem to be engaged militarily throughout the globe as much as we ever have, or more.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And it's funny the number of people who are upset, obviously conservatives and such, upset with Barack Obama, but it's not just conservatives. There are many liberals who don't feel he's gone far enough.
Right, liberals on the Democrat side that don't think they've gone far enough, and then as a fiscal conservative, as a hardcore fiscal conservative, Republicans control both houses of Congress and the presidency here a few short years ago, and what did we do? We passed a prescription health care benefit, which at that time was the largest entitlement that we had ever passed, and now we're railing against Obama for passing even a bigger entitlement. Wasn't the table set?
You would think so. As you look at this, and it was, I believe it was in December that you decided to drop out of the GOP race and run as a Libertarian. Is that right?
Yeah, it happened right around the first of the year, right after the first of the year. And so The Libertarians have a 50-state nominating convention process whereby 50 states have conventions. You get elected as a delegate. You go to the national convention in Las Vegas, Nevada, first week in May, at which time the Libertarian nominee will be elected.
So that's what I wanted to ask you. It's you just don't hear obviously as much about it as the GOP battle that's been going on. Where does it talks about the fact, as you mentioned, it'll be in May in Las Vegas. Is that right?
May in Las Vegas, right.
May in Las Vegas. And are they, you say that each state will send delegates. Are there what do you call, elections going on right now for those? Or how does the state decide who they're giving their delegates to in the Libertarian Party? Is it the same as what the GOP does?
No, so it's 50 state conventions, and that's what I'm in the process of doing, is really visiting those 50 state conventions. And of course, I'm not going to make it to all of them, but as many as I can, and there have been several debates. The Libertarian Party has been very inclusive. There are 11 candidates running on the Libertarian side.
So those conventions are going on right now?
Yeah, they're going on over the next several weeks and have gone on over the prior weeks. But I was just going to say, I think that perhaps Libertarians embody the best of both parties. The notion that we should be balancing the federal budget. Let's balance the federal budget, period. And let's do it now, or we're going to find ourselves in the midst of a monetary collapse. Our country is going to collapse, really, given the mathematics of continuing to spend as much money as we're spending beyond what we're collecting. So we should be pursuing strong U.S. dollars policies, not weak U.S. dollar policies. And right now, given the amount of money that we are printing to cover our debt obligations, like I say, we're not immune from other countries that have done this, and other countries that have done this have found their demise in doing just exactly what we're doing. There is a cost for printing money out of thin air.
As I look at, there was an article that I found I was reading earlier, and it talked about, it said Johnson on the ballot would help Obama win New Mexico, typically a swing state, by a 17-point margin. Do you concern yourself at all with whether you are, do you feel that it's enough of a legitimate position to be in as a libertarian that it doesn't, are you concerned at all of hurting conservatives in the GOP race, which you, of course, were a part of until December?
Well, if conservative means blowing the checkbook, if conservatives means spending wildly, which is what the Republicans have done, Ron, I really think that I'm going to end up taking equally from both sides. Those that are really disgruntled with Obama over the wars, over drug policy, marriage equality. I really think I'm going to take from the Republican side also when it comes to being a fiscal conservative. Let's balance the budget. Let's do it now. I'm also advocating throwing out the entire federal tax system and replacing it with a consumption tax, the fair tax, which I really think reboots the American economy for the next 100 years, that makes our exports competitive and in a zero corporate tax rate environment, because the fair tax eliminates corporate tax, eliminates income tax, eliminates withholdings, eliminates the IRS. That's where jobs are going to get created. President Obama just, 10 days ago talked about reducing the corporate tax rate to 28% because that would create so many jobs. Imagine taking it to zero.
That would change things a little bit. Any chance, or you think there's any chance of Ron Paul still deciding to run as a Libertarian?
No, there's really no chance. The Libertarian nominee will be decided May 4th, and the Republican primary is going to go on months after that. It really becomes less and less of a chance to run as a third party because of the logistics of getting on the ballot in all 50 states. It's a big it's a big nut to crack, and you'd have to be engaged in that now. You'd have to be laying the groundwork for that now, and I think that he should. I think he should ride the Republican primary right to the end. That he is saying very important things, and as human beings, when we hear the same message coming from a couple different sources as opposed to just one different source, maybe it doesn't sound so kooky when it comes from a couple different people, because you're hearing it in different ways, and it begins to resonate. There begins to be more of an understanding of what's being said. So it's not me, it's not Ron Paul, it's a whole bunch of, it's millions of Americans that, if given the opportunity, I think would be doing the same thing that I'm doing right now. It's too important to let big party Republican, big party Democrats, big government Democrat, big government Republican, to be in charge at a time when it's going to determine whether or not we have a country or not.
Well, it is many concerns having to do with, of course, the decisions that are being made by these two parties and the amount of money that they continue to spend. And it is something that I really do hope to see a viable third party come out of the Libertarian Party. I'm hoping that happens. I don't know that it's there yet, but I wish you the best of luck, because I think that it would be something that could make a real difference in the politics of our country.
Well, I do too. I think that it is. These are issues that need to be discussed immediately, and it starts with balancing the federal budget, and that means, significantly slashing spending, and that's Medicaid, and that's Medicare, and that's military, for starters, those being the big ticket items.
No question about it. Well, Gary Johnson, we wish you the best of luck. We'll keep an eye on it as it heads towards May, and see who ends up with the nomination, and we sure appreciate your time today.
Ron, I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to coming back on if you'll invite me back.
We will do that. Okay. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
We'll see you. Bye.
All right.
That is Gary Johnson, and it really, I have no idea if I like Gary Johnson as a candidate to run for president. I haven't spent enough. I don't know enough about him. I know that he is somebody who would change, bring about true change. Would I agree with all of the change? No, I wouldn't. But we need major change in this country, and the biggest thing, of course, is to the government spending that's going on. And I know that a true libertarian would bring about that if it were to ever happen. But I don't know whether I'd be ready to vote for him or where I would fall down on that. I can tell you that I definitely want to see a change to the two-party system. I mean, a true third party in this country